Hello once again, everybody. And if you didn't check out the first part of this, where I did the sketching side of it, don't forget it will be up in the playlists. If it's not in the playlist, it'll be up in the videos. Just scroll along and you'll see that one. I did have done 2 sketches of the Hulk. The first one I did not enjoy doing, so I restarted, then did that one a bit. Did another one a bit earlier today. And today, instead of coming back tomorrow and inking this one, I thought I'd get this done today for you at lunchtime. I've had my lunch, like I said in the last video, and have made myself a cup of tea. And we've got that playlist ready to go. Once again, guys, my name is Blut084, BLUT084, Art and Games. I'm here every single day on YouTube, apart from when I'm ill, which is what happened last week, which is why I didn't do any drawings last week, guys, and I'm trying to catch up on what I did. Every day on YouTube, so occasionally on Mixer, which again I uploaded the games instead of drawing last week that I played over on Mixer, so you guys can have something to keep watching while I was sick. And also on Instagram, if you guys have got it, don't forget to go over there and follow me over there, because every single day I'll give you an update, give you a sketch, or I'll give you close-ups on what I'm doing here. You will see that the picture in a lot more better quality, as this picture doesn't always show. This camera doesn't always show the every part of my what I'm doing. I'm kind of copying trying to copy the picture that you see on the thumbnail. Did my very best to do it, and this is where I got up to. I did, as always, guys. It's half and half this month, and this is the month's theme. I've done a few things now. I've done a Spider-Man, half and half of his face and the mask, and a Venom, which I'm really quite proud of. So if you guys want to go and check that one out and tell me what you think of that one, and if any of you guys would like any of this, again, my art all this month is free. So if you would like it sent out, or if you would like something so you could take a picture of it on your phone so you can use it as a back screen, let me know and I'll get that done for you. Otherwise, keep watching, enjoy, leave a like if you do, and listen into the Comic Storian continued story of the Hulk, or Planet Hulk. And we have reached the part where he's reached the Earth, and he is decimating people. So keep listening to that story while I carry on drawing. Hopefully you will enjoy it, guys. Again, my name's Blut084, BLUT084. Art and Games. Might play a game this afternoon, not sure, depending on how I feel. Still not feeling great, guys. And also, I'm giving up smoking. If you guys are also giving up smoking, let me know, because it's freaking horrible.
Why is he even doing? The Sentry is terrified of his own power. Why is he cutting loose right now? Reed turns to Tony. What did you tell him? And Tony tells him, I told him to play God. Hulk and the Sentry come crashing back down into the arena, and that's when he begins to swirl the power of a million exploding suns around him, and he drops it on the Hulk. But he persists. He accepts it, and he stands. The Hulk stands up. Reed and Tony tell each other that they need to use the satellites to stop him. They need to prevent the Sentry from burning the world around them. And the Hulk tells them, stupid humans, do you think your machines will stop him? And he jumps into the fire, into the source of the destruction. He sees the Sentry and he begins to pound away on his power. The Sentry asks him, does it always feel this good to cut loose? It's funny, isn't it? After all of these years of me trying to calm you down, it's me who can't seem to stop. The Hulk continues to punch him over and over, draw blood and try to stop him, but he can't. It's too much power for even the Sentry. He turns to the Hulk, goodbye, old friend. And in the power of the sun, the two men continue to punch each other until there's a massive boom. The fire begins to part, and in the middle, everyone sees the Sentry and the Hulk in their human forms. Sentry thanks Bruce, and then he falls, and Bruce turns back to everyone with green glowing in his eyes. Everyone looks at him, and Rick offers his hand. Bruce, welcome home. But it's Meek who isn't done, as he shouts, Hulk is not done! Come back to us! And he stabs Rick. Bruce falls to his friend's side, and his eyes begin to glow, and he grows in size, and he smashes the insect. He begins to tear through his Warbound, throwing them into each other and smashing them into the ground. The Warbound leap on him, trying to hold him back, and Meek tells him, I will always be there to remind you, because you always forget your purpose. World Breaker, you conquered Sakaar. You killed the Red King. You should have slaughtered his people, but you let them live. So I watched them load up an old warp core into your shuttle. They thought that it would kill you, but I knew that it would remind you. We all must now die so that you can remember. You are the World Breaker. You need to make this end. The anger in the Hulk boils up and something in him snaps. There's suddenly no limit to his power, as his anger is too great. I said he was the angriest before, but I was wrong. This is the maddest he's ever been, as he begins to grow in size. Reed steps up. Bruce, stop. We'll help you this time. And he slaps his hands together to push the superheroes down. Stop. Without you, none of this would have happened. I'll hate you forever. Almost as much as I hate myself. And that's what
pause for I don't know how long. It's still
the
skipping.
Took a step.
No reason for it to skip.
Entire eastern seaboard felt it. An earthquake across the...
I can't stand things skipping.
Yeah, everything is breaking and crumbling because the Hulk can't...
Oh, I could understand if things skipped when it was on CD, but it's not. It's on blimmin'. It's direct stream from the internet. There's nothing wrong with my internet unless somebody else is leeching on it again. If they are, I'm going to break their shit.
Even control his power, and he shouts, "Do it before I break the world!" So Tony calls down the beam that stops the Hulk. He runs over, telling them to shoot at his position, and he runs between the Hulk's legs. So we see it. Shakru! The beam hits him full on with everything. And as it burns away at him, in that moment, remembers his happiness and her death. And with his own death, he could finally be with her. I'll never leave you, Hulk. I know. And now, I'll never leave you. Except, that's not how it ends, is it? He can't die, can he? This is the Hulk. And in the smoke and destruction, at the very center of everything, Bruce Banner lays there, staring into the sky. S.H.I.E.L.D. came by and they locked him up, hauling him away. And the Warbound were all arrested. This is the story of the Hulk, and how he finally came home. They call you whatever they want, he said. Savior, destroyer. All that matters is what you choose. Bear witness to his choice, children, and give thanks to your gods, and pray for their mercy. For tonight, the Hulk may sleep, but his rage will never die. And there you have it, World War Hulk retold in their new dramatic fashion. And we incorporated many more of the tie-ins, including Frontlines, Ant-Man, Ghost Rider, X-Men, all the extra fights that you guys said we were missing in the first version of this video. Now, let me know in the comments down below if you want us to move to Aftershock, or maybe to the Son of the Hulk, or do you just want us to be done with the Hulk for a little while? Let me know in the comments down below. With the Hulk.
We'll be listening to some more of it.
We're going to decide what we're going to do next. And don't forget, you can subscribe.
Oh my god,
right here to get more comic book rundowns, recaps, and keep up to date.
I'm not very happy, guys. I'm super
right about
crappy.
Here for some Hulk videos. Click right about here for something from YouTube. And right about here should be my face. Thank you guys for this amazing retelling of our story. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'll see you next week right here.
No, you ain't seen in about 10 minutes. In 2 or 3 seconds. Oh, look, another smoothie advert. Fucking yogurt. Yum. I really like yogurt, but I don't care about your adverts. Go away. If I want yogurt, I'll go and get it.
When we're children,
Oh my god, there's another advert.
anything is
I'll
possible.
throw it out the window.
But as we get older, we can lose sight of our dream.
Shut up. You get older, you get old, you die, and that's it. Kids, pray that you make enough money.
Welcome to the
They're
Complete
smart
Story
enough to make
Series. We
their
take trade paperbacks and single issues, and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. And then we read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. As usual, we recommend you buying this book as the fight scenes are epic, and I don't personally feel like we do them justice. But let's go ahead and begin. So many of you have been asking, where was the Hulk in Civil War? Well, Marvel's Illuminati decided that he was a threat. Reed Richards, Black Bolt, Stephen Strange, and Iron Man all decided that the Hulk was too much of a threat to remain on Earth, and they chose to knock him unconscious and blast him into space.
Okay, I don't know where this is
The
going.
plan was to send him to a planet filled with peaceful plant life and nothing that he could harm. But the Hulk woke up mid-flight, and he received a message from what he thought were his friends, and he became enraged. He punched everything on the ship, and it threw the ship off course, and the Hulk found himself on a planet filled with gladiators. The beings on this planet all matched his strength, and he was finally in a place where he could actually be harmed. Knowing that this could become a problem, Bruce Banner and the Hulk agreed to remain as the Hulk, but with the intelligence of Bruce Banner. An agreement that would keep the two men safe. And he used this to his advantage to climb the gladiatorial ranks. Eventually, he rose to the top, and then he would lead a revolution against the Red King, the ruler of this planet. The Hulk then brought peace to this world, and he even found love. He was finally happy. But then the ship that brought him to this world exploded, and it killed millions of people within his capital city. And it also killed his wife and his unborn child. Enraged that his former friends would not only send him into space, but would also rig the ship that brought him there to self-destruct, he decided to show them exactly why you don't enrage the Hulk, and he decided to pay his old friends a visit. His first stop is the moon, where Black Bolt stands with Medusa. Black Bolt's power is to speak with the force of an atomic bomb if he wanted, but this doesn't even faze the Hulk as he lands and he looks right at him. You shot me into space. Killed my world. And he reaches over, grabbing Black Bolt by the arms. But Black Bolt simply whispers, enough. Knocking the Hulk back hundreds of feet as he walks away, assuming that the Hulk is defeated. But the Hulk just gets to his feet and he says, I didn't come here to hear you whisper. I want to hear you scream as he leaps on top of Black Bolt. The Hulk then broadcasts a message all over Earth. Puny humans, I came here to smash, and you should all know who is to blame. You call them heroes, but I call them monsters. They tried to kill me by launching me into space. After making a world and becoming the Green King, your heroes set off a bomb that killed millions of people. I now return with my war bounty to take them. You have 24 hours to evacuate this city, and when I return, I expect them here ready to fight. If they aren't, I will do this. And he holds up a beaten and bloodied Black Bolt to your whole stinking planet. Realizing that they are heavily outgunned in this match and the Hulk is madder than he has ever been before, Tony and Reed go to the one person who might be able to stop the Hulk, the Sentry. But the Sentry is so powerful that he fears his own power, and he hasn't even stepped outside of his own house in months. So while at first he's ready to face off with the Hulk, he can't even leave the threshold of his own home. Without the Sentry to back them up, Tony suits up in his Hulkbuster armor, and he calls in the Hulk's former allies. The Hulk lands ready to fight, and the battle between the Hulkbuster armored Tony Stark and Hulk begins by shattering all of the windows around for miles. Tony rocket punches the Hulk in the head, and then he launches him straight into the ground. The Hulk gets up, and Tony launches into his stomach, pushing him through a multitude of buildings. As Tony begins to back off, 2 fighter jets fly overhead, and they launch 2 missiles, engulfing the Hulk in fire. Which doesn't work, because it reminds him of how his wife died, and it makes him angrier. He looks right at Tony. You killed her! And Tony simply says, oh hell. As the Hulk finally gets a shot in, and he knocks Tony's armor into a nearby building, tearing it to pieces and dropping the entire building on it. He then gets up, and he walks back into the city. He calls down his warbound, and in front of the heroes of Earth, there are 5 more aliens, as strong as the Hulk was before he was this angry. She-Hulk steps forward. Bruce, we'll put Tony and them on trial. This isn't the way. But the Hulk grabs She-Hulk by the mouth, and he buries her into the ground. This begins a battle between all of the heroes there and the warbound, as the Hulk leaps away to find the other 3 people who sent him away. His next stop is the location of Mr. Fantastic, and both Storm and the Human Torch try to bombard the Hulk with their powers. But he just stands there, taking it all to the face, and the Thing looks down in shock as the Hulk doesn't even flinch. The Thing then leaps down and he stands toe-to-toe with the Hulk, only to have his head smashed between the Hulk's massive fists. The Hulk then begins to take swings at Reed, only to be stopped by Invisible Woman's force fields. But even those aren't strong enough to stop him, as he hits them so hard that he pushes her mind to its limit, and she passes out. Hulk then proceeds to just tear into Reed Richards until he is nothing more than a stretched out mess and unconscious. Walking down the streets, he drags Reed Richards behind him until he's stopped by Rick, the young man that he saved all the way back in the day when he got changed into the Hulk. Rick just asks him to stop. Please, Hulk, stop this madness. And at that exact moment, the last of Hulk's targets uses this to his advantage. Stephen Strange taps into the Hulk's mind, to talk to the man inside. And just as Stephen reaches out, General Thunderbolt T. Ross uses a military onslaught on the Hulk, bombarding his body in the real world, while Stephen Strange pulls the Hulk away for a chat in a mental mindscape. The two of them begin to argue in the mindscape, and the Hulk begins to try and punch the astral projection of Stephen Strange. But in the real world, it appears that the Hulk is just punching thin air. Stephen just boldly tells the Hulk to calm down. He is the Sorcerer Supreme, and the Hulk's anger will not win. Let me help you, Bruce. Show me your true face. So the Hulk calms down, and he begins to revert back to Bruce Banner. That's what she said. He simply says to himself quietly. Stephen then forces Banner to remember the positive times, the good moments that he had with his wife. Stephen then makes himself corporeal, and he places a hand on Bruce's shoulder. I have always been your friend, Bruce. But Bruce smirks. No, Stephen, I've got you. And he hulks out, grabbing Stephen by the hands and breaking them. The pain forces Stephen to fall out of the mindscape, freeing the Hulk, and he begins to rampage through Thunderbolt Ross's army. Nothing can stop him, not even Thunderbolt Ross shooting him in the eyeballs, and eventually the Hulk prevails, and he moves to Strange's home with his Warbound. His group quickly makes short work of Strange's friends, and not even Iron Fist can stand against them. But just as the Warband enters Strange's sanctum, he tries one last thing, and he summons all of his rage into a truly fearsome form that appears in front of the Hulk. Strange, smash! He shouts as they begin their battle. The strength that Strange has at his disposal now is actually too much for the Hulk, and at first Strange is actually beating him, but Strange cannot control his power, and he accidentally almost hurts the bystanders, which is the opening that the Hulk needs to punch Strange through a series of buildings with a single punch. He then leaps onto Stephen Strange and begins to pummel him over and over again until he finally wins, and he captures the last of the 4 men who sentenced him to death. But the Hulk wasn't just trying to imprison them. He wanted them to feel as though he did when he first arrived on that foreign planet. Every one of the heroes that he captured has been fitted with an obedience disc, a device so powerful that not even the Silver Surfer could fight the urges that it forced on him. He places Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, Reed Richards, and Black Bolt into an arena to battle against one of the monstrous creatures that he had to fight on day 1 of the foreign planet. While challenging because of the lack of any of their powers, they still managed to defeat the beast using the weapons that were provided to them, and Black Bolt manages to make the final kill by stabbing it in the head. But the Hulk isn't done yet, and he tells each of them that on his second day on the planet, he was forced to fight against the other slaves to the death, and he tells the 4 men to fight amongst themselves. They use everything they've got, knocking each other around and throwing their weapons at each other, but eventually, Reed stands over Tony, ready to smash his head in, and the audience begins to chant, "Kill! Kill! Kill!" Hulk holds his hand up, and he gives the thumbs down, letting them know that Reed must kill Tony. But there is one man who has been forgotten in our story. The Sentry is still standing in his doorway, afraid to leave his home. But he decides that it's time. It's time to play God, and he rockets for the arena. Reed continues to try and fight against the disc that is forcing him to smash Tony's head in, but he can't do it, and he brings the mace down inches from Tony's head. Everyone stops quiet, and the Hulk speaks. Remember this. We came here for justice, not murder, and no one has died. We will now raze this city to the ground and leave you to your shame. But Tony looks over at the Hulk with blood dripping from his face. This is your last chance to surrender. And before anyone can truly react to that comment, the Sentry barrels in so fast that he tears the arena apart and he shoves the Hulk into the nearby buildings. He uses the full force of his strength to launch the Hulk with a single punch. The Hulk gets up. Stark, Richards, all of you! Don't forget what happens next is on your heads. And the 2 heaviest hitters in the Marvel Universe begin to slug it out, taking out buildings around them with every swing. The streets begin to fill with fire as the Sentry lets loose the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. And the 2 Titans continue to slug it out with fire and strength over and over. The destruction is so massive, but in the end, they both burn out and revert back to their human forms. The Sentry falls to the ground human, thanking the Hulk for letting him let loose. Bruce looks back at everyone with the Warbound asking, "Where's the Hulk?" And then Rick reaches out a hand to Bruce. Welcome home. But before Bruce can even shake his hand, one of the Warbound screams, "No, the Hulk isn't done! Come back to us!" And he stabs Rick in the chest. Bruce's heart begins to fill with rage once again, and he turns back into the Hulk and begins to slam the member of the Warbound over and over. The bug-like monster looks up at the Hulk. "Yes, do it! Never stop is what you taught me. We will never stop fighting, and that is why I've killed them." With that comment, the Hulk stops. Them? The bug creature continues. "I had to remind you. You wanted peace, but that's not who you are. I blew up the warp core in your old ship." So much rage begins to pour out of the Hulk that he hits critical mass. Even his eyes and his mouth are beaming with gamma radiation. The anger is so great that no one is safe, and with a single palm slap, the entire world feels the force of the Hulk. With a single step on the ground, he even forces earthquakes up and down the eastern seaboard. He screams out, "Do what you're gonna do, Tony! Use it now! Use your ultimate weapon before I break the world!" So Tony calls down a satellite blast, and he runs over to the Hulk, hitting him with the full force of it, ending this. The Hulk reverts back to Banner, and he falls to the ground unconscious. S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up, and they seal up Bruce Banner, and they lock him away. In his war bond, they're imprisoned for their actions against Earth. And that's the end of Worldbreaker Hulk. Hulk eventually gets a chance to redeem himself, but it takes quite a while. And the Illuminati are shamed across the world for quite some time. But that's the story of World War Hulk. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you want to chat about this video, please follow us on Twitter @ComicStorian, and don't forget we have a gaming variety channel known as Eligible Monster and a list-based channel known as List Bomb, both of which you can find in the description down below. We also have a Reddit, r/ComicStorian, where we pretty much put the videos up pretty close to when they go out. I'm Benny the Comic Historian, and I will see you guys next time right here.
You know how to keep your pet happy. And at Vets for Pets, we know how to keep your pet healthy.
Okay, guys. Well, that's the inking part of the video so far. Obviously, done the Hulk. The Hulk has got a little bit more dark to him. I'm going to be colouring this one in. I've got to wait for all of this sort of ink to dry off a little bit before I put any ink, any colouring onto it. What I normally have been doing, again, I apologise for my voice. It's not. I haven't been very well, so my voice is a bit knackered. So yeah, what was I saying? Did the inking stage. I did do the sketch of this. So if you want to see how I got and how I was able to sketch all of this before I got around inking, check the earlier video from today. But I've used my Sharpie, my fine line of what number is it again? I can't remember. 7 point something, 7.0 or something like that, or 0.7, one of the two. Done those two. My Sharpie pen I don't use it that much because it goes through the page a lot of the time, and I don't really like using it. I only use it really to like get a real dark shade to it. That one there is really, really good, and it's really good for fine lining and go around what I've already drawn with pencil, which I always do on a Tuesday. It's just this week. I tried to do this yesterday. I just felt crap, and I didn't want to. I hated it, so I rubbed the whole thing out, and I redid it. I might do a little bit more detail here and there, so I'll stay here for another, 10 minutes or so, putting some extra details on. But I will take a picture of this in a moment with the tablet, which I'm listening to Comic Historian through, just so I can take this, and that's my phone shop. And then I'll take this and I'll digitize it like I have done every single thing that I've drawn. Everything I draw, guys, I digitize. So if you are a fan of what I draw with pencil, don't forget to check out how I increase and how I change it when I digitize it. I don't always do a good job, but it all sort of depends on how well the sketch is going for me. Like I said, I say the sketch, the digital sketch. When it's just pencil, I just rather fucking rot out if I don't like it and start again. But with the digital, I like to keep it as close to what I can as possible. I'm going to be doing, again, I'll do some more detail, a little bit more detail on the face it needs, on the human face, and then I'll do a little bit more on the Hulk. But I don't want to put too much detail on the Hulk, because every single time I do the Hulk, I always put a line there, or I darken this, or I darken this, and it just looks crap. So what I might do is I'll use different coloured pencils, pens, and I'll do 2 tones of darker. So I'll do a lighter color, and then I'll go over with the darker pen afterwards. I don't know if I'll do that tomorrow. I might get around to doing a game in a moment, because I really want to get back to my gaming as well as my drawing. Half and half. This is the series. If you're a fan of what I've been doing today, then don't forget to check out the other ones. I have done half of Spider-Man, half of Venom. Again, I'm quite proud of that one. So go and check that one out and tell me what you think of it. It has had its full stage. I've done the sketching on a Monday, inking on a Tuesday, colouring on a Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday we're going to digitize that one with my free app called Critter. Again, if you would like that app, all you got to do, guys, ask for a link down below, and I'll send that link to you. If there hasn't one, then put there already. Don't forget to check down below if you're watching back for these comments, or leave a comment in the comment section. Again, my guys, my name is Blut084, BLUT084, Art and Games. I'm here every single day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, but every day and night over on Instagram. Same name, different place. If you can't find those for yourself and you would like a link, all you got to do, guys, is ask me in the comment section, and I will leave you a link. Otherwise, there should either be a link there already, or there will be a link over on Instagram if you've come from there. For anything else by me, guys, don't forget to go into the playlists and see what else is up there. Just doing some last minute details. Again, I don't want to put too much on, but it does need a little bit. I found with hair, the least of the amount of lines I put in, they're just there so I can get rid of this construction lines, which is basically the pencil. I try and go rub out the pencil, but sometimes I leave the pencil on there because it still gives me a good place to sort of where I should be putting the pen in. But when I put a lot of shading on, which I've noticed, when I do put pen on over top of shading, it doesn't always cover, doesn't always do a good job of colouring over. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll do a just give me a bit down here. What I sometimes do is I will do a pencil one side, or use pencil, and then I'll go over again with a pen on top of that one. The divide. I don't want to put a line between the two, because I think that takes away from the actual picture. And when I did a mask, there was a definite defined line, but excuse me, again, I haven't been very well, so I might snort and occasionally leave a horrible noise. I am really desperately not trying to fuck this up, so and obviously it does need a few extra lines here and there. So what I'm going to do quickly, let's get rid of these construction lines, so I don't have to talk too much, guys, and then there's no dead air. What I'm going to do is going to get that playlist playing in the background again, to enjoy.
Iron Man can outthink anything.
and come up with just about any kind of machine to take care of almost any problem in the Marvel Universe. Bruce Banner, when angry, turns into the Hulk unwillingly, and he has an infinite amount of strength and is capable of destroying just about anything in the Marvel Universe. What would happen if the Hulk found out that Iron Man had a hand in turning Bruce Banner into the Hulk? I'll tell you what would happen. Hulk smash! But don't worry, guys. Tony is ready for this with some kind of supersonic beam. And with one punch, Hulk re-evens the field and throws Tony for miles. Tony can't figure it out. Normally, he can stop the Hulk by outsmarting him. It's almost as if the Hulk suddenly got smart. Oh no, the Hulk's the smart one now. But to understand how we got to this point, you need to understand what the sin was that was revealed to Bruce Banner and Tony Stark. You see, recently all of the Watcher's secrets were spread out into the world in the original Sin storyline. One of those secrets involved Bruce Banner and Tony Stark, and that secret was so massive that it started this war between them. But this rivalry, it started years ago. Long before we had a man in an iron suit and a giant green guy that could destroy planets. We had a guy who was making his way in the world by showing his intelligence and barely making ends meet. And we had a guy who had inherited his father's money and turned it into an empire based on his intelligence. We cut back to when Bruce Banner was trying to sell the Gamma Bomb to General Ross, before anything ever started. Well, as it turns out, Tony Stark was invited to the Gamma Bomb demonstration, as he's an expert in war profiteering. At least he is at this point in his life. Well, Tony mentioned that Bruce may be holding back the yield of the bomb by adding extra shielding, and this started an argument where Bruce became furious and called Tony out for it. Because Bruce just wants to get the Army's funding so that he can research gamma-related projects to help people. He doesn't want to make a super weapon. Well, Tony responded to Bruce that they just need to make the bomb bigger to show force, so that everyone is scared of what the US can do, and therefore they'll stop all conflicts because nobody wants to fight with the US. And that argument goes back and forth repeatedly between the two of them, and eventually they part ways for the evening. But General Ross, he didn't like the idea that Banner may have put extra shielding on it, and that this extra shielding would hold back the strength of the bomb. Tony tried to convince Bruce to let him tinker with the Gamma Bomb, and he tried to convince Bruce while drunk. But Bruce knew what he was doing, and he wouldn't let Tony Stark, of all people, show him up. Well, Tony did tinker with the bomb, without Bruce's permission. He removed the shielding and played with its guts, altering the effect that the bomb would have. Bruce now knows this, and it's Tony's fault that Bruce became the Hulk. That was Tony's sin, and the Watcher eyeball allowed Bruce to see that it was Tony who caused the Hulk this entire time. Bruce knows that it was Tony now. Everything that he's been through, all the running from the government, all the losses in his life, changing into a big green monster, all of it is Tony Stark's fault. Bruce Banner versus Iron Man, that gets nothing done. And the Hulk, well, Tony is smart enough to steer the Hulk away from himself. What if there wasn't a difference between Bruce Banner and the Hulk? He could then get his revenge on Tony Stark for all of this. Extremis is something that Tony Stark and a friend created, and it allows you to alter the very makeup of somebody's body. Well, put something like that in the hands of Bruce Banner, and we get Hyper-Intelligent Hulk. Just what Bruce needed to face off with Tony Stark. Let's go back to our current timeline. You know, the one where the Hulk is ripping Iron Man out of his suit, literally. Tony is putting up a good fight, but you can't fight a Hyper-Intelligent Hulk. Their fight goes on for pages and pages of the comic, and even with Tony's Hulkbuster Iron Man suit, there's no stopping this beast. This is a whole new Hulk, one that can outthink anything you can do. Tony eventually flees after stalling the Hulk temporarily, and then he remembers. He remembers everything that happened that night. How could he do this to his friend? But before Tony can say anything, or do anything, Hulk knocks him unconscious. Tony awakens to find himself wrapped in his own suit of armor, unable to move, and at the Hulk's mercy. Tony, realizing that the Hulk is a genius now, he decides he's going to use this to his advantage. And just as the Hulk is about to smash him into paste, he shows Hulk how he tinkered with the bomb. And the Hulk thanks him and finds himself much less angry. So Bruce Banner rejoins us. Tony and Banner talk it out, and Tony explains. He saved Bruce from an immense amount of guilt. All of the shielding that was on that bomb would have amplified it into a city killer, Tony kept Bruce from destroying an entire city. He didn't turn Bruce into the Hulk. They forgive each other for their actions, and Bruce wanders off to find somebody who can get the armor off Tony, because Bruce Banner is not strong enough to unwrap Tony from his own armor. And as Bruce walks away, we learn that there's more to this story that Tony isn't revealing. Something that Bruce can never know. Tony knew about Gamma's effect on biomatter, and he knew that it could possibly change somebody. And he tried to warn Bruce. But Bruce was so full of pride that he deleted that warning. It would tear Bruce apart to know that he could have stopped all of this from happening if he hadn't been so full of pride that day. And that is one of the true original sins. Pride. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you guys next time right here at Comic Story. What if the Hulk and Bruce Banner could actually separate? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I check trade paperbacks and single issues, and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you, all alterations of the panel, sticks, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Don't forget to support these great industries by purchasing these comics yourself online or at your local store. This is actually an older arc for the Hulk, but it is one of my favorite stories for the Hulk because it explored a concept that we never truly thought we'd get to see. The full 15-issue story arc will be a continuing series on the channel for a bit. Links to the story will be down below. The story begins with the Hulk smashing a monster in the underground. The monster hits the ground, bleeding everywhere, and the Hulk walks over, placing his hand on its head. Tell it to let go. The monster looks up at him with sad eyes. The Hulk hopes it understands that he is sorry. The monster, through eye contact, tells the Hulk that it understands. The Hulk then walks back to the Moloids, where he's welcomed back as a hero, their savior. The chieftain of the tribe walks over to the Hulk and welcomes him down to the celebration. He is the hero that saved them after all, but he simply tells them, they will come, because they always come. The Hulk isn't allowed peace. Happiness and peace are the two things that the Hulk learned a long time ago to never trust. It was Banner that taught him that. Banner, who was afraid. Banner, whose weakness held the Hulk back. But Banner is not here anymore. That part of the Hulk is dead. He killed it. He killed everything that made him Banner. He did this so that the Hulk will finally get to live. And the only thing that he wants is home and peace. He is the Hulk, the hunted, the breaker of worlds. This is where his story ends. Until they come. Men with drills burrow into the ground to look for the Hulk. They try to fight against the Hulk, but that just makes him madder and madder until he begins throwing the people around the entire cave. All so that one person can get his attention. Amanda Von Doom, not related to that other Von Doom. She did this small attack to get his attention because she works for a covert group within the US government and they need the Hulk's help. It's Banner. They need the Hulk to do something about Banner. At this point, you're probably wondering what happened to Bruce Banner. Well, off on an island far away is Banner conducting experiments for his children, which are genetically altered animals in his quest to become the Hulk again. He needs the Hulk. When Banner first came to this island, he was with Betty.
Okay, guys, that's me down here. God, my throat's fucking killing me. Sorry for swearing. Whoops. But yeah, I'll be back again to color this one in. I'm going to take another break. Hopefully you've enjoyed the inking stage and the story in the background. That's the Hulk. We'll continue on listening to that playlist where we left off just there in the next video. So don't forget to join me next time. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. My name's been Blut084, BLUT084, Art and Games. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Click the links and hit my face to subscribe.